forth. And this also was partly revealed after the Charlie Kirk assassination, because again, as Max Blumenthal revealed, there's a whole network of billionaires in the United States who are loyal to Benjamin Netanyahu. And they're loyal to him in a very strange way, almost as though they were made to serve that role. And one of them is Larry Ellison, which I didn't really realize. But as it turns out, and then this all got drawn through the internet, his various statements over the preceding years, turns out that he's a fanatical Zionist, and that he is one of the biggest donors to the IDF, which is a very strange for a tech billionaire. If you just kind of started your business and became successful, and you made a lot of money, there are many causes you could support in life rather than a military in someplace half around the world, right? And so that's a very interesting thing, because I've also heard recently Larry Ellison in one of these forums, I don't know if it was like a Michael Milken forum or a World Economic Forum in Davos, something like this. He was talking about how all these control matrix technologies are going to ensure that everybody's on their best behavior, meaning, he's completely on board with this World Economic Forum agenda of putting us under complete control and surveillance, so that we can't really do anything. We can't protest. We can't even criticize. We have to, be up to date with our vaccine schedules and the boosters and everything. And so this is all part of the same thing. And then, Larry Ellison also features in an investigation that I have done myself over the, on the subject of the company called Theranos, which I don't know if you'll remember, but Theranos was about 20 years ago. It was a really big deal. It was a company run by a very young American woman called Elizabeth Holmes. And Elizabeth Holmes was supposedly the inventor of some kind of a revolutionary diagnostics device, which could accurately diagnose something like 120 different diseases from just a little droplet of blood taken from your finger. Well, I looked into that, and the whole thing was a fraud from day one. The technology never worked. She was never qualified to run it. The whole thing was an extremely bizarre Silicon Valley bubble that crashed from the valuation of $9 billion to zero in a very short time. But the curious thing is that Elizabeth Holmes's mentor and one of her biggest financial backer was none other than Larry Ellison again. And her entire board of directors were people from the security state, nobody from the medical field. It was people like Henry Kissinger, sorry, the name escapes me, but there was General Mattis, George Shultz, Sam Nunn, who was head of the Armed Services Committee in the Senate. So very, very powerful people in the deep state, in the military-industrial complex, in the security state and intelligence services. Nobody from any medical or diagnostics field. And this girl had no clue about anything. And there you have Larry Ellison again, the arch Zionist. And then as I completed my investigation, it turned out that this whole Theranos thing was the preparation, very probably, it wasn't explicitly stated, it was very probably the creation of an information weapon for future pandemics that were going to be wielded against all of humanity everywhere around the world, because their objective was to be able to test 20% of the whole population weekly. So the Zionist Project, World Economic Forum, City of London, because Larry Ellison is also very close with Tony Blair, Mr. City of London, in addition to being close to Benjamin Netanyahu. And so this all seems to come together, and it always revolves around the very same cabal. And it seems to be a relatively small cabal, but they're extremely wealthy and they're extremely powerful. But as my investigation into Theranos proved, they're also extremely vulnerable, because truth tellers like Max Blumenthal, like Tucker Carlson and the like, Dave Smith, these people have the power to collapse them. And I've demonstrated that in the investigation of the way Theranos collapsed. It was this massive, seemingly invincible enterprise that collapsed because just a handful of ordinary people inside of the enterprise wouldn't shut up and continued to speak out and tell the truth, in spite of the fact that they were discouraged, intimidated, pursued, one of them to the point of committing suicide. But they prevailed nevertheless, and the thing collapsed. And I think that Theranos is the small fractal of the bigger structure that's going to collapse in the same way, because there are brave people, there are courageous people who are continuing to tell the truth. And then, Trump or no Trump almost doesn't matter at this point. I think that the tsunami has taken off, and it's uprooting the whole structure of lies that's been carefully constructed for us for decades now.